Hello everyone, here is Karuna. In this tutorial I will answer your questions about oiling your duduk. First of all, why should we do that? And the answer is very simple. It's for protecting the wood. Against what? Against climate, of course, against temperatures and against humidity. If the temperatures are too high, it's too hot, like dry heat, then the material dries out too much, and we don't want this. We don't want this kind of deformations. And the opposite also happens when it is too cold and also too humid. We are trying to protect the wood against humidity. And oiling your duduk creates a protective oily layer inside of the wood, and every wooden instrument needs this protection. So it's not only about Armenian duduk, it could be also about other types of wooden flutes and also bamboo flutes like Indian bansuri, Japanese shakuhachi, or Chinese flutes, vertical flutes. Also flutes made of reed plant, like, you know, this reed. Some flutes are made of this material, like Arabic ney, Turkish ney, Persian ney. They also need oiling. But those bamboo and reed flutes, they are oiled normally only from inside, and duduk is to be oiled normally only externally from the outside. But it's not the rule, and there are opinions about this. For example, my friend, duduk maker Arthur Grigorian, recommends to do it once in a while. He means like maybe once every 3-4 months, every 6 months, twice a year, something like that. So I also do it from time to time. It's very simple. I will not show it in my today's tutorial. You can take any stick, like wooden stick, like, you know, something like that, and you can roll a piece of soft cloth around this stick, and then put a couple of drops of oil on it, and then you can oil the duduk from inside. The longer you apply the oil, in terms of like months or years, the denser and the more solid becomes the wood. So the wood feels much better, and even it impacts the quality of the sound. The sound quality, the overtones become richer, become better. And it is not only for protecting the wood itself, but also for protecting the color. And this is what often happens to people who are never taught to do that. So they start playing instrument, and of course our fingers are sweaty, even if the temperature is not is normal, like room temperature. And the more often you play, the more, of course, it impacts the spots around the playing holes. So these are unfortunately losing color in many cases. And that's why my recommendation is to start applying oil even from the very first day of purchasing the instrument. So you purchase the instrument, it's just completely new, then you played it, and from the very first day you can start oiling it. Okay? The common rule is to oil it more often in the beginning than after a couple of months or a couple of years. After a couple of years you maybe will need to oil it only once in a month, and that would be enough for the instrument. But when you just bought it, maybe twice a week, at least once a week. It depends a lot actually on the temperature, climate and humidity where you live, and it depends on how often you play duduk, because some people play it only once a week and some people play a couple of hours every day. So if it is your case, do it more often, of course. And also depends on the particular piece of the material itself, because the material could be of a different quality. Some materials are denser, more solid than the others. So if you missed that point, that knowledge in the beginning, and you started playing, and then already the color faded around the spots where you touch your duduk, I mean, you cannot recover the color, but as you are hearing now my advice, start oiling it from today. One of my instruments, for example, Duduk in C, doesn't look very good if it is not oiled. Like if it is dry, it doesn't look good because I didn't start oiling it from the beginning and it lost a lot of color around the playing holes. So, but after oiling, the color becomes darker and the instrument looks much better. And this is my recommendation if you want to sell the instrument. Just oil it first, dry it up, and then a shiny duduk, you can take pictures of it and then you can post them only like that. Okay, next question. What types of oil can I use? This must be first of all a vegetable oil, not a refined oil. That must be extra virgin one. This is number one, vegetable extra virgin. The oil should be fresh, it should be not old. The old oil is normally becomes normally thick, and this we don't want by all means. Old oil you can also recognize by it being like if you look like on the light, you will see that it is not clear anymore. So a fresh oil is always clear. It has nothing floating in it. Is nothing on the bottom of the bottle. Clear should be like liquid, not like shea butter, for example. Shea butter is a vegetable oil, but it's a butter. No, it's like thick. It crystallizes by the room temperature, and we don't want this. Also, coconut oils, although it's a vegetable oil, it crystallizes at the room temperature, and this we don't want at all. When the oil becomes thick, it becomes also sticky, and then it's very hard to remove the extra oil which we don't need on the duduk, which duduk is not able to absorb. We are trying to avoid it with dry piece of cloth. But this stickiness is so hard to avoid, so hard to remove. I mean, that's why it's not good. It's not good. Flaxseed oil is good. I saw Karen Mukalyan, the MKS duduk maker. He uses the linen or flaxseed. We say flaxseed oil. It has a smell. Not everybody likes it, but the smell goes after a couple of minutes or after maybe 1 hour or so. Even if the smell is really strong, it's kind of fishy smell, you know, this flaxseed oil. So it goes after applying it, really. So you dry the duduk up after making the procedure, and then you will not smell this anymore. Also, walnut is good. You can buy also walnut oil in pharmacies, or like today I will use real walnuts. I will crack them, take out the seed. I will smash the walnut seeds on top of the on some piece of cloth, so that the oil goes inside of the cloth, and then I can use this cloth for oiling. I will also use olive oil because I have nothing else. I have only those walnuts but a good olive oil, so I will use both. Almond oil is good. For example, duduk maker Arthur Grigorian prefers almond oil. I also prefer almond oil, to be honest, because I like the smell. The smell is so nice from almond. After applying it, it smells very good. So almond oil. Also, olive oil is kind of good. Just see that it is an extra virgin, as I said, not a refined one. The procedure is that we put a bit of oil on the piece of cloth, and then we rub with this piece of cloth or duduk, and then after a couple of minutes or hours or even overnight, duduk can stay even overnight oiled like that. You take a dry piece of cloth and then you dry it up. Duduk absorbs the oil during those minutes, hours, or the night, and then you dry it up. It is still shiny, nice, but dry. It's not wet, not oily, not sticky. Okay. All right. This is all I'll be using today for oiling my duduks. First of all, we need a duduk, of course. This one, the black one, I have already oiled just before. You can oil one or several ones. Then I will be using this olive oil. This is extra virgin one. This is the only oil I have in the house right now. And then I will need also a soft piece of cloth. In my case, this is a kitchen towel, very soft one, small one also. And then a couple of walnuts. I found them in the house of my parents. I will also use them, and I will crack them with this hammer. Also, I will use a pen. Okay, these are my current duduks. Right now I have them with me. 6 duduks. Some of them look better than the others, depending on how well I took care of them. see the one on the left with the bird. Now it's the first one here. It is the oldest duduk of mine, but it looks the best because I took a very good care of it. Started oiling it from the very beginning, from the very start. That's why it didn't lose color at all. But this one that you can see, I didn't take care well of it. You see, I started oiling it much later than I bought it. So, and that's why the color faded on the spots where I touched it with my fingers, especially on the back and here on the front as well. Alright, here are the walnuts. Cracking them with a hammer or with any nutcracker you have. But later anyway you will need a hammer again to smash the walnut seeds so that we could get the walnut oil. Then we will need a piece of cloth. In my case this is just a hand towel for kitchen. So I'll take this one. So and then we're doing like that. We can go a bit inside of the duduk, just inside of the duduk throat. Do this work here. For example, using a pen, any pen or a pencil. You can do it with your little finger like that. That little finger doesn't go too deep. You can take a pen and do this work like that. On the other side as well. Alright. And then we can also go into every playing hole. So, like that. And now I keep doing the same thing with every duduk, applying oil on the surface of the wood and then going into every playing hole inside of the duduk throat and duduk tail as well. You see? And then I put them aside so that the oil could be absorbed by the wood. Just doing same thing. And I also keep adding a couple of drops of olive oil on my towel because the walnut oil that I extracted from the seeds is gone long ago. It is gone with the first duduk, so it was not a lot of oil because the walnuts were quite old and not so oily. So now I'm using olive oil already. Just 2-3 drops, just little bit for every duduk. And now I take the dry part of my towel and I'm drying up every duduk. So it's really dry, it's not sticky, it's not wet. Now the duduk is shiny, but is not wet at all. And this is my main duduk in A. Again, I'm drying it up. You see, now it's dry. Thanks for watching. Take a good care of your duduk and see you in my next videos. Bye bye.